Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys from Africa. You know we love the Big C tribe. The Big C, there's no one we love more. You good old boys down south, in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, on a beautiful March 13th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
We still got reservations for spring down here. You know, we're waiting on the show. I'm waiting on the concierge to get here and let us inside so we can warm up.
Yep, we all got to warm up. I know out here in California, you know, it's been raining cats and dogs, and I do mean cats and dogs, couple cats and dogs trying to hide from all this flood.
You better watch out. People might get after cats and dogs. So I was okay for the whole thing. The crossfire, but not cat and dog fall.
No, but seriously, they had some cats and some dogs climbing trees to get away from some of the flooding waters, etc. It's kind of funny. You hear people talk about raining cats and dogs. I actually saw some cats and dogs in California. We really need water. I can't understand why. Everything's flooded out and soaked, but they keep letting the water out into the ocean, so I guess they can keep telling homeowners we're in a drought. That way they keep the water prices up. Have a lot of things going on in the world of the NFL. You could win at a 40% clip in the NFL. If you're white, that's worth $80 million. And also baseball making a few moves. Jake Arrieta moving around from different teams, and he signed a $75 million 3-year contract with the Phillies. Have some things in the White House. You know, Rex Tillerson is out, and Kellyanne Conway is flying around on a private jet. Big C. Your thoughts, Big C?
He's not long and blonde, so he the father for blondes. I mean, the Sunday feathers or whatever, and they hit his 20s. He's blonde, long hair, just like Kellyanne Conway. The president doesn't mind you wasting money if you make it. So Rex Tillerson, I don't know if it was a shock, a surprise, or I know it was kind of expected over the long run ever since he called the president an effing moron months ago. I don't think the president ever got over somebody standing up to him, in his lifetime. And so he was looking for a time that was appropriate or inappropriate, whichever was to come first. He didn't care. To get rid of the Secretary of State, a guy who was hired to deal with world diplomacy. And, he spent much of his 14 months going around apologizing for Trump. The statements that he'd make about S-hole countries and other things of that nature, these tariffs that he's throwing in. Rex Tillerson was the bumper man going around, easier. I mean, you think about Rex Tillerson when he came into this cabinet, and we talk about a lot of money in sports these days. This guy ran ExxonMobil. The largest oil company in America. And that's what he ran. His stock options and salary every year came up between $120 and $150 million. So it wasn't like he took the job for prestige. He took the job because he had world connections. With this guy, when Trump talked about the art of the deal, Rex Tillerson negotiated with every country in the world getting oil. So he had to deal with their leaders. So he had personal knowledge of these people coming into the White House, so he made that transition easier. But because Trump couldn't put his thumb on him and hold him down because he was a grown man when he showed up, he didn't want that. And not only that, the FBI got rid of his personal assistant today. They came after him for money. Situation which everybody in the White House is kind of worried about right now because the FBI is looking into their pockets. So he did some illegal dealings, and the FBI said you can't work for the government. And then Trump turned right around and hired him for his campaign.
I tell you. All's fair in love and war. I do want to say this segment sponsored by Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. You can drive a car or you could drive a Cadillac. I look at the world that we live in, and long gone are the talks of tax cuts and tax breaks and how people are going to save money. And if they're a corporation, they're going to save money. They're going to be able to hire more people. And now we have Kellyanne Conway flying around the country on taxpayer dollar on private jets. Not even the First Lady travels as much as she travels, Big C. So I wonder, maybe she forgot who the First Lady is. Maybe that's the First Lady, but I don't know if she's paid the money back. But there are people who've been fired over using taxpayer dollars to fly around the country. And this same woman who came up with the fake news and alternative facts, well, maybe she got on the alternative plane ticket, Big C. That make any sense to you?
We haven't seen the First Lady sitting in the Oval Office with her feet up on the couch. We've seen Kellyanne Conway in the Oval Office with her feet up on the couch. So
yeah.
I guess, as you say, there may be an identity crisis.
Yeah.
As far as in the White House. But,
yeah.
That's inappropriate. That's misuse of taxpayers' fund, regardless of whether you're in the president's base or not. And when you're one of those unemployed workers in America, and you're one of those people that are losing their jobs because of these tariffs that are coming in.
Yeah.
Harley Davidson is closing up one of their plants, Charlton, in the Midwest,
really?
because of these tariffs and the price of steel and aluminum used to build their bikes. They can no longer compete, so they're going to move a plant to Asia. And that's where they're going to be producing. I mean, Harley's always been synonymous for America first, but maybe if Kellyanne Conway put some of that money back that she's using for these private jets, Harley Davidson, would be able to and so, I mean, and that's also a contradiction to these huge tax breaks that the president walked around patting himself on the back on.
Yep.
You got plants closing, people being laid off. So I'm trying to figure out how these tariffs are helping, and these tax reliefs are really assisting Americans right now.
Yeah, that's when you think about that. We know that all's fair in love and war. You can love who you want and hate who you want, but in a world of inclusion and egalitarianism, and we talk about how America many times has been anathema to people of color, whether Native Americans, African Americans, of course, we understand that, and the new, enmity now, the new Jim Crow is against Mexicans. And Donald Trump down in San Diego today, he stated, and he was on CNN News, as to why they were trying to justify building a wall. And he stated with his own mouth, and I had to play it back twice, it said that Mexicans are good wall crawlers. They're like professional wall crawlers, Mexicans are. Now, how much more can you insult a whole group of people because that same type of enmity was used against African Americans over the years? And because more people have more power now, and oftentimes when you attack the black community, there's more people who will fight back. But for him to say, and this for any human being listening, but especially African Americans, to say that they're professional wall crawlers, well, what are white Americans then? I mean, just to say that as a president, as that's the reason we got to build the wall higher, that's such a blatant racist insult, and he said it proudly. And either he's doing it because he's ignorant of it, or he knows there's a base that won't even challenge it, Big C. But if you're Mexican American, it's like calling the African American the N-word. Right now, you would get chastised for that all over radio and TV. And if he would come out and say that Jews are professional wall crawlers, or that blacks are professional wall crawlers, people would shout that down. But why is it easy to pick on Mexican Americans now, and no one really comes to the defense, Big C? Your thoughts?
It's like what you said about the N-word, the political correctness, because of the establishment of black society in America, how it has grown and it has grabbed legs and, it has expanded and it has a pulse. He uses the Mexican slang because of the illegal that have come into the country that have not been documented.
Yeah.
So he can rattle his base by telling his base that they're taking his jobs.
Yeah.
So I don't see any of his base going down working in the fields in Texas and in California and in Arizona and other places, Charlton, where they're harvesting all the time, Florida. I don't see his base leaving those Midwestern states or those northern states to get out to those southern states to work in those fields.
Yeah.
But when we talk about rapists and murderers, okay, keeping America safe, and let's go to your favorite subject, Google.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Let's go see Mr. Google.
Yeah, Google.
Who has murdered more Americans than any other race?
Yep.
Now, let's look at that. And it's there on Mr. Google. I think he has it, the blue button on the phone.
Yep.
Let's see who has shot and murdered more Americans than any other race.
Yep.
I think Mr. Google might have the answer to that.
Yeah.
Let's see who has robbed more Americans than anyone else, Charlton. I think Mr. Google might have the answer to that.
Oh, yeah.
So when the president is dealing with his tongue, that is like a dog running down the street wagging in the wind.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Neither one of them, spew out much knowledge.
Right.
But when you sit there and you have a base that you can lie to, and they get excited about your lies.
Yeah.
That when I, it goes back to a terminology, and you don't want to denigrate any people, but
no,
it's lack of intelligence.
Yep.
It's lack of intelligence.
Yeah.
If they knew how to read, basic. Something my parents told me years ago. If you know how to read, no one can fool you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
If you read, you understand and you have knowledge. For years, minorities were fought against being able to read.
Yeah.
Because whites didn't want them to have knowledge.
Yep.
And now it seems like those same whites refuse to read.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Google will help them out every day. Speaking to the phone. Most of the things nowadays.
Yeah.
Speaking to it.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Google, what's the answer to this?
Exactly.
Who's the number one murderer in America?
Yeah.
Which race?
Yeah.
Which is the number one rapist in America? Which race?
Yep.
Which is the... I guess all you got to do is ask who's the criminals in America.
Yeah.
And which race is that?
Yep.
But don't sit there and try to cover up what you and your associates are doing or have done to blame it on a race of people for economic gain.
Yeah.
Because that's all that's about, Charlton. That's about economic gain. It's not about social equality.
Nope.
It's not about obtaining jobs. It's about economic gain to those who have benefited him into getting into the White House from a upper echelon perspective. I'm not talking about the guy who's in the voting booth.
Yeah.
Voting for these guys that are talking about building a wall, $20 billion for building a wall.
Yeah.
And I wish that the president would listen to the show, but we're not Fox.
Nope.
No. $20 billion.
Yeah.
What would that do for the education system of America?
Oh, they don't want
$20 billion. All of his base. And most of you guys live in schools, districts that need help in their schools.
Yeah.
We just had a strike in West Virginia where the teachers wanted a raise of 5%.
Yeah.
We're the 48th lowest state in the United States teacher salary.
Wow.
They had to go to 9 school days, so kids had to miss 9 days of school.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to give it to him, but he's talking $20 billion.
Yeah.
And Google, how much would $20 billion help education system?
Well, see, they don't want to have too many people educated, Big C. There's something called Malthusian. Malthusian means when the population outgrows the need to take care of it, then we need war and famine in order to control it. And when you make people ignorant because they don't want to read anymore, Big C, then they don't know some of the things that are coming. A lot of what's designed building that wall is really to build a lot of prisons also along the Mexican border. And that's something you can Google also. That's why 13. So they're going to build something because they're trying to find a way to get more of that free labor that comes from incarcerating people. They call indentured servants, and they'll work for pennies on the dollar. And when you're a poor person from Mexico, who's going to come in and support you? Is he going to call your lawyer? They don't have the same protections that you have in the United States. But people know that. It's a lot deeper than just looking at a wall. But that's for a lot of people who can read and figure that out too. Big C, I want to just bring up that point again. We love the NFL. And I love seeing teams succeed. And I love seeing players go on and have the chance to live their dreams. And we love what the NFL has done, especially for white Americans, white quarterbacks. And I look at Kirk Cousins with 26 wins and 30 losses, and he got 84.
Your cousin?
Well, no, he's not my cousin. Well, we all think if you go back far enough, according to Dr. Mendo, and we are cousins. But if you look at that, and Vince Young is actually 31-20, his NFL career record. He's unemployed. Kirk Cousins, 26-30, gets $84 million. There are a lot of other quarterbacks making more than $50 million that have not won, and they haven't even crossed the 50% plateau. And I know we talked about it before, how the NFL wants to protect that image because of every other position that they've allowed open competition. For the most part, it's been taken over by 80% African-American athletes. And they got to keep that face of the NFL, so they want a white guy at the quarterback helm. That's that prodigal position. It doesn't matter to me if you're black or white. If you can play, you can play. But the way the salary is structured, they will de-emphasize the needs of a running back. And every team that's won an NFL Super Bowl, they've had a good running game and a good defense, not necessarily a great quarterback performance. Even Peyton Manning's last performance, he was not a great performance in the NFL in the Super Bowl when they beat Carolina. But if we can take this position and make it the most money, it's a silent message sent to the owners that are also sending it to each other. We got to protect this image of this European image behind the helm because they built it up as the paragon of virtue, and they've said it's the most intelligent position. So when you're a black American coming out of college as an All-American quarterback and you won a Heisman Trophy, there's some people who are still brazen enough to say, we need to make you a linebacker or a defensive back. That's as old as 50 years ago, Big C. Did I hit a home run, or are we kind of batting out of the ballpark, Big C? Your thoughts?
You're fairly accurate in your statement that you're making, because if you look at this money that is being thrown around now as a white quarterback in the NFL, now we've looked at free agency. No one has talked about an African-American quarterback in free agency. No one has even talked about an African-American quarterback coming out of college as being one of the top 4 quarterback prospects coming out of college, regardless of the success that they have had there.
Yeah.
But, it's free money right now for a white quarterback in the NFL. Regardless of how many games you have not won,
yeah,
okay, it's just a matter that you're right.
Yeah.
Because that's all you can do is I'm running back into a football and I'm going to give you money.
Yep.
We talked yesterday about the top 3 highest paid quarterbacks in NFL history that are playing right now, and they're playing right now in the league.
Yeah.
Now it's the top 4 quarterbacks in NFL history for salary in a season, because Kirk Cousins will be added to that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Have never won a playoff game.
No.
That's what you got to think about, y'all. It is the top 4 highest paid white quarterbacks in the NFL all time have never won a playoff game. So that's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
When you come down, and I'm not a mathematician. I'm not a smart man.
But did you learn that from Todd McShay, and who's that other boy? Did Todd McShay and Mel Kiper, did they tell you?
Yeah. With the quarterbacks move and teams assignment.
Yeah.
Everybody that they said was taking a quarterback right off the bat.
Yeah.
They've all obtained a quarterback. Think about that.
Yeah.
Everybody off the wall.
Yeah.
Everybody fell off the bar stool at that point.
One that, they made the playoffs. Yeah. That's true.
The New York Jets went out and got 2 quarterbacks today.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals went out and got a cripple quarterback. All right?
$20 million.
Went out and just threw money at whoever could throw it.
Anybody. They made their fan Tarkenton back.
He was kind of like looking for the last 5 quarterbacks for the franchise and all have a better record.
So Big C.
When you look at that, Shea and Kiper, right now they're under the table. I'm going to ship them some moonshine just to keep them.
Maybe they're taking some Google lessons. Maybe they learn to use Google and realize how they're wrong, and hopefully nobody else is smart. Maybe the NFL owners should all get a smartphone with a little blue G called Google, and they can Google how dumb it just doesn't make any sense. The guy wins 40%, and that's worth $84 million.
You think about the last 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, okay, Johnson?
Yeah.
3 of the last 4 Super Bowls. The most money made by any of those quarterbacks was Peyton Manning, and that was on his way out the door.
Yeah.
Other than that, Charlton, no quarterback of the last 4, other than Manning, was making more than $15 million in a season, and that's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Yep.
Last year, it was Russell Wilson when he won a Super Bowl, Charlton. We neither one of those guys made $10 million in a season.
I'm starting to feel sorry for them, Big C.
Big Foles made when he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson made $4 million when he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Chump
Tom
James.
Brady, the last Super Bowl he got paid $14.5 million.
I'm kind of feeling sorry for Tom. Yeah.
Do not make the money that the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL make a season.
No.
You're playing the last 4 Super Bowls.
Yep.
And they don't make as much money as the top 4 paid quarterbacks in the NFL.
Wow.
Now, where's the savviness in negotiating these deals for these players? You know, that's what leaves you dumbfounded. And like, dumbfounded.
Yeah, me too, Big C. I don't, and I think it's okay if you just have a philanthropic mindset and you want to tell your fans to pay top dollar to go to your games, and that's okay. Some fans don't care; they'll pay the money anyway. But when you look at any athlete, and athletes, they're very competitive. They look at what their opponents are doing. They're watching what their competition is doing, and I'm sure even Kirk Cousins. It's almost like you can take advantage of people who drink too much. I remember growing up, there was a guy, they called this guy named Shorty. He was a smart man, but he always stayed lit, Big C. He always had a 40 in his hand. So some of the young guys, the young punks as he would call them, would try to take advantage of Shorty. And sometimes Shorty would say, hey, and a smart man, but he didn't have a job. We don't know how he always had money. But sometimes he owed me $5. And some of the dumb guys that thought they were smarter than Shorty, they would try to give him a fake $5 bill, Big C, because he was lit, so he didn't know the difference. But Shorty always had a cane. He'd always hit those kids with that cane when they take money. He could feel with his hands what was right or wrong. And I wonder if some of the owners, because a lot of them are up in age, they don't understand the value of a dollar. Maybe they're really thinking they're giving away monopoly money, because you can't convince any person with intelligence that 40%, if a kid scored 40% on a test at school, he'd flunk. But if you score 40% on a test as an NFL white quarterback and you get $80 million, and that's real talk, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you hit the nail on the head when you say the white NFL quarterback. Because I recall last year that Tyrod Taylor took a pay cut.
Yeah.
To stay with the Bills, where he restructured his contract, took basically a 40-50% pay cut to stay on the roster.
Yep.
They even bitched him at one point during the season for a guy who threw 5 interceptions. He forgot because he didn't know which team he was playing for.
Yeah.
He just threw the ball and whatever he saw was open. That's all he did.
Yeah.
But Tyrod Taylor took a pay cut.
Yeah.
For this guy to play. But Tyrod Taylor made the playoffs. He took a pay cut.
Yeah.
He was the only quarterback in the NFL last year who made the playoffs taking a pay cut. Think about that. African American.
Yeah.
The only quarterback in the NFL that made the playoffs taking a pay cut and being benched during the season.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
The other quarterback is the Then he got traded this year.
Yeah.
Not the team with that guy who threw the 5 interceptions in less than a quarter.
Yeah.
That's their quarterback right now. That's what they put the franchise on. A guy who cannot complete a pass to a receiver on his own team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we look at the disparity as far as how players are treated, that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
When you look at the NFL and you look at the amount of African-American quarterbacks participating in the NFL, it's not because they don't have the talent, it's because they're not given opportunity.
It's Jim Crow.
I wonder if any of these guys are these draft experts or everybody else.
Yeah.
They say, how can this guy win on the collegiate level?
Yeah.
And not get drafted in the NFL? But the white guy who is not winning on the collegiate level gets drafted and can't win on the NFL level.
Well, and you need to find some of our black brethren that are on TV. You know, they get a paycheck for saying what they told to say. And I just kind of feel, it's almost like a kid that looks at his dad. And I never forget what I saw one time as a young boy. I saw this father out with his son. And in line at a food place just to get something to eat. Well, little kid with his father, and there was another man that kind of cut the line. And the guy that cut the line said to the man that's with his son, and when the son said, "Dad, the guy cut in front of us." And the man was kind of rude. He said, "Shut up, punk," to the little boy. And the father of the little boy didn't say anything. And I could saw the little boy looked at his father. I'll never forget the look. It's like, "Dad, are you going to say anything?" And the dad was shaking in his boots because he didn't want to get beaten up in front of his son. Or didn't even want to stand up or say, "Hey, sir, that's not cool." The little kid here. I'll never forget that. But that little boy had to look at his dad and lose respect for him because he knew his dad got punked or he wouldn't even speak the truth. And I see so many of our brethren on TV. They know how to Google. They don't even defend Google because they got to be part of that game to pat the Caucasian on the back. And it's just a fact. I mean, if we're wrong, Google, we're wrong. And they got to play that game, too, because they want a job. Big C, that's why they're shaking in the boots. Big C, your thoughts?
All they have to do is look at themselves.
Yeah.
Really, and what afforded them to get to the position that they're in? Generally, they had to replace one of their own.
Shutting up and staying in their lane, yeah.
You don't, even in television, it's like that. You don't see blacks replacing the white that's on the screen.
No.
You see them replacing one of their own. Anytime you see a new black face, the whole black face is gone.
Yeah.
They don't stay around in the industry for 20 years on average.
Yeah.
Like you'll see a white broadcast.
Mainstream, yeah.
It's not that they're not knowledgeable. It's like, okay, we can get another one look like you cheaper.
Yeah, the boys.
That's how the business rolls.
Yeah, and we know that.
I mean, I look at some of the more senior broadcasters that are out there in sports, and they've been around a long time. I mean, Botox is their best friend.
Yeah. Don't touch Botox, Big C. Some of us in California are very sensitive to those comments.
It's like in the sports world. You don't see black quarterbacks replacing white quarterbacks. I mean, when Deshaun Watson came on the scene last year,
yeah.
and your friends, Kiper and McShay, said, well, he could not read the defenses.
Yeah.
That he would struggle against the NFL.
Yeah.
The NFL struggled with him.
Yep.
He set records last year in his brief stint as a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the hottest commodity in the NFL.
Yeah.
This guy that no one said could compete, even though Nick Saban said he was the best quarterback coming out of college football. Nick Saban.
Yep.
But the experts said, well, he wasn't as good as the white guys on the list, Mitch Trubisky. I mean, Deshaun Watson played 4 or 5 games in the NFL as a starter, okay?
Yeah.
Before he got hurt. Won more games than the first quarterback taken in the draft who played most of the season.
Yeah.
And so this is the experts that are out there, is that your body of work, when you're auditioning for a job as a professional, doesn't mean anything if you're a black quarterback.
No.
And when we saw the playoff series last year, and, Alabama eventually was two minority quarterbacks on that team.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 minority quarterback in Alabama.
Yep.
But they didn't get the hype as the kid from Georgia, as the kid from Alabama.
Oklahoma.
I mean, not Alabama, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They didn't get that hype, Joe.
Yeah. It's something
they
that
were shunned.
They were shunned, and I was talking to an executive that's very tight in the Hollywood. We know we got to end this Jim Crow, but it won't end by people who are like that little boy, his father, when he got punked and he told that grown man, "Hey, Dad, that guy cut in front of us in line," and the dad didn't say nothing, and the rude man told the boy, "Shut up." And the dad shut up too. It reminds me of Django. I think Django had a movie where Sam Jackson played this character that was like,
Simon's the house man.
You know all those guys. You probably know the class, man. But I just think if you're afraid, it's okay. That's why they have grown men, and that's why they created Big C Sports. All we say is just Google what we say too. We're not saying nobody's paying us to say anything or not say anything. I just want to bring the wealth of contract back to the world of the sports universe because people need to know the truth. I gotta bring this point up, and it's just I bring it up because it's real. I look at how, and people again, do what you want to do. But it was the baseball World Series champions last year, the Houston Astros, down there in a state where we have the new Mexican Jim Crow, where they're just trying to discriminate against a whole group of people. So we have President Trump shaking the hands with the manager of the Houston Astros with all of their Latin players, Big C. And you have this, a lot of the players come from Latin backgrounds, South America. And the president the day after shaking their hands in the White House, and they're all smiling and grinning. Now he's going back to California and talking about building a wall to separate white America from the Mexican population that's coming up. Nothing against Europeans coming over, but I just wonder how these guys from Houston, they remind me of that little boy when that rude man said, "Shut up, boy," when he cut him off in line, and the father didn't say anything. He just stood there because he was afraid. And I wonder, is either ignorance or just being afraid that you don't have to shake the man of someone who insults your whole heritage? Does that make any sense, Big C?
I mean, when you look at the contribution of the Mexican population in America,
yeah,
I mean, it has grown in leaps and bounds. Productivity, tax bases, solid citizens.
Yeah.
But, it's like in any culture. It's just like when they talk about a police shooting. And they'll always say, well, there's a couple of bad apples.
Yeah.
And think about that. How do you say there's a couple of bad apples?
Yeah.
That's like, okay, when you got a kid that fails a class, and you talk about the other two, well, you got a couple of bad apples. That's the reason why they fail the test.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we look at Americans that have committed these atrocious crimes, rather,
yeah,
since Trump has been president,
yeah,
these mass shootings that have been enacted by these people since Trump has become president.
Yeah.
Is that a couple of bad apples because they go out and kill dozens of Americans? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Do they identify them as bad apples? Or do they, because I have not heard anybody identify these people as murderers.
Nope. Or terrorists.
That's the thing that bothers me.
Yeah.
Even though the kid down in Florida, they're talking about seeking the death penalty for him. They don't identify him as a murderer. They identify him as a shooter.
Yeah.
But they give him a kind of condemnation so that he's not looked at from a white societal perspective as a heinous person.
Now you think
the
about
guy in Vegas.
Yeah.
He wasn't considered a murderer.
Yeah.
A mass murderer, which he really was.
Yeah.
He was a shooter.
Yep.
All white mass murderers are called shooters.
Yep.
Okay? They're not called murderers.
No.
They're called shooters. And so I'm trying to understand, how do you try to put a kind reference on someone who is what he is?
Yeah.
If the dog bites you, don't say, well, he nibbled on him a little bit. He didn't mean it.
Right.
That was a dog bite.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
You don't say, well, he nibbled on him, and because he liked the taste of his skin.
Right.
Yeah. And they're talking about putting the dog down. Think about this. A dog bites somebody, and they're talking about putting the dog down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't even have a reclamation project for him.
No.
They don't even say he can be rehabilitated.
No.
Just put him down.
Well, you think about it too, and they wanted to say that terrorist in Florida that murdered 17 children, they said he's mentally ill. Since when does America put to death mentally ill people? They know he was sane, and that's what he did. He was sane when he did it. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. So I just think all's fair in the
loop. Let me touch on something, Justin. Yeah. You said he was mentally ill.
No, they said he was mentally ill.
That was the original statement, and which is true by the federal government standards. You cannot put to death a mentally ill person.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
But now that they're seeking the death penalty, that declares him not being mentally ill.
Ain't that so?
Who's that protect?
Him?
The NRA. No, the NRA. And it also protects the president.
Yeah.
Because we have not heard anything from the president since his big brouhaha about that he cared and that he would have charged in unarmed on the shooter in the school if he was there.
Yeah.
Even though he ran from Vietnam draft five times.
Okay? And you can Google that.
Nobody held a gun at that time.
Would Google Big C, would Google know about the 5 deferments, or is that just something we read from
Google he had shin splints. He 20.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
funny. Yeah.
But, here's this guy that the president hasn't spoke about.
Yeah.
Since the NRA had a meeting with the president.
Yep.
The president said he'll now leave it to the courts. He won't take any executive actions on it.
Yeah.
And he's washed his hands of it.
Yep.
And not only that, he is creating more of a distraction to keep people from thinking about the Parkland shooting. So he fires the Secretary of State.
Yep.
He makes other comments about other politicians.
Yeah.
But he is no longer talking about the students, the young people that were lost at Parkland.
Yeah.
America needs to forget about that, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
That's not important.
Yep.
Now, that's not Charlton and Big C saying that. He's the president, and we relay his message to America.
Yeah.
Because if you think we're lying, Google the last time he talked about Parkland.
Yeah, and I just want people to stay aware, because if for the honest people who are no longer out there and willing to say whatever, just Google. You don't have to trust what anybody says. Google it. Big C, I do want to touch on a few things going on in the sports universe, and I know we have the NIT starts tonight. We have LIU Brooklyn.
What's NIT? Does everybody could make the NCAA?
I think it has something to do with that. Bigger than the NCAA, but the NCAA found a way to put my money into it. We do have LIU Brooklyn versus Radford in Dayton, Ohio. And then we have St. Bonaventure versus UCLA. And those teams start tonight. The NIT Baylor versus Wagner, Louisville, Northern Kentucky. And then we look at Middle Tennessee versus Vermont. And just a lot of things. West Kentucky playing Boston College, Oklahoma State, Florida Gulf Coast. All those teams are starting to make their swing. And Oregon versus Rider. Oregon's been a team that's really been on the upswing the last couple of years, just missing out. But I do love the fact that we have, basketball is getting to the point where they start that free labor. You know how you start that engine, you press that button, the engine starts. Well, now you press, what is it down in Las Vegas? You press the button on the slides and it starts rolling. There used to be a day you could pull the slot handle down in Vegas, and now you press a button and that money starts counting. So the instant you press that button, you get that $1 billion payout to come in. But I want to just get your thoughts real quick on something that's happening in this college, this whole money grab. No one's really talking about the money thing anymore, because it's just like anything else. America has a short attention span. But we said before, and I'm not flippant about this, Big C, if the court has a decision to make about money, they put that money in a trust. They don't let you keep spending it until you decide you want to play fair. And I hope that the NCAA, which is an antitrust to not pay players for their talent, I would hope that there's somehow that some of that money is put into a trust until they figure out that it's not complicated at all. Once white guys stop getting paid, they'll say it's not complicated. They'll figure out a way to do it faster. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, since y'all that's a very valid scenario. But if you're not getting paid, then you find out an easy way to disperse the funds. What would be the best case scenario out of this whole NCAA tournament, y'all? Would be the University of Arizona winning it all, which they can.
They probably will.
Being in the bracket they're in, they can win it all. What would be the look of the NCAA being a team under investigation, being a team allegedly offered a player $100,000?
Yep.
Being a team that had the coach suspended because of his allegations. Being a team that had one of the players suspended for the rest of the year because of an illegal substance allegation.
Yeah.
And you win the whole tournament.
Yeah.
What's the face of the NCAA at that point? And you're being investigated by the FBI.
Yeah.
God, what about justice in America?
Who was that good old boy? Was it Al Pacino? There was a movie said something about, I forgot what he said, but I know it was Al Pacino and talking about the truth and how people...
It was Injustice for All with Al Pacino.
Yeah. One of the greatest actors out there. So I just hate seeing people being exploited, and I hope that by talking about it, they'll bring more attention to it. That has to happen. We know the big tournaments start, with all the other major teams. There's a lot of money to go through the helms and the bank accounts of a lot of people. And I know there are times when people just say, oh, just shut up and dribble. But because of shutting up and dribbling, people remain poor through that process. There's still a lot of kids, Big C, that don't have the family background to send them some money.
One comment on that shut up and dribble, okay?
Yeah.
Laura Ingram made that comment.
Yeah.
Did she ever just tell her agent just to shut up and just talk? I don't know about this. Did she tell Fox, I'll talk for free.
Yeah.
Because I'm loyal to you.
Yeah.
You know, you gave me an opportunity to sit in front of a camera, and I'm happy and thankful for that. You gave me an opportunity to read.
You read that
teleprompter. You don't even have to pay me. Just let me sit here and do this.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true point. I mean, that's so true. So I just hope that there's nothing to get people's mind off of being hungry than to wave some food in front of them and make them think they're going to eat. You ever go to a restaurant and the food smells so good, you think you're going to eat, but you see that steak costs $75. Like, who spends $75 on a steak? So maybe you don't want to buy it. You go down to McDonald's, get a steak sandwich, or whoever makes a steak hamburger. It's not the same, but at least your stomach's not hungry. And I just hope that after years of, it started down the south where you are, when it was USC and Alabama in a football game, and Paul Bear Bryant said, I got to get me some of them when USC beat Alabama in a football game. But they didn't say I got to make life better for them. And I hear these people that say, well, you know, only about 1% of players are going to go pro, so stay in school. Nobody saying don't stay in school. We're just saying, even a kid at a lemonade stand, if you sell lemonade, why would you not get some of the money? And for people to say, well, it's easy to find ways not to do it, it's because most of these kids are young black kids. And the average young black American does not come from a middle-class background where their parents have a median income of $100,000 a year that can take care of a lot of food, clothing, and shelter outside of what that scholarship pays for. So I know too many guys that they didn't have anything. They were eating Top Ramen as if it was the best thing they ever had in their life because it's better than being hungry. And you know what well, I think Top Ramen, Big C, the way you guys, you were better than me, so you wouldn't know what Top Ramen is, but there's a lot of us live in the underground. We know what Top Ramen is. It actually tastes pretty good. Yeah, you can Google Top Ramen. It's actually starving. But I know basketball is going to bring our country together, and it's going to get the attention of a lot of people. I just hope it gets the attention of smart people, because, Big C, we have to keep that conversation. That conversation has to keep going, Big C. Your thoughts?
The conversation will always keep going of those who don't have.
Yeah.
It's the ones who have that don't want the conversation going on. It's like when we look at the sexual scandal that's been going on in Michigan State.
Yeah.
Those who have and have power kept it quiet. They made it all internal investigations. We'll handle it internally.
Oh, yeah.
Time to discuss it. Whether it was Antonio, whether it was Eagle, whether it was the athletic director, whether it was the president, whether it was Larry Nassar. We'll handle all this internally.
Yeah.
We don't need to bring outside entities in to know what we're doing. We know how to police our own house.
Yeah.
But that's the vernacular of the NCAA, is that we will police our own house. We will decide if and when. And I is that, how do you decide which player gets what?
Yeah.
Okay, how do NFL teams decide which player gets what?
Yeah.
Okay, how does each NBA team and baseball team, hockey team decide which player gets what? There is no equal payment on any team when you look at salary.
Yeah.
Your cousin just got $85 million.
84. Anybody. It was 84.
$84 million.
Yeah.
And he has not won 30 games as an NFL starter.
He won 26.
In his NFL career.
Yeah.
He's been in the NFL, 5-6 years now?
Yep.
And has not won 30 games as an NFL starter.
No.
He got $84 million. So how do you assess that he's worth $84 million? And so when you sit there and you say, well, how do you determine what a college player makes? Well, there's different scales on everybody.
Yeah.
The starters are the ones who are the money. You do it based on play, whatever. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whose jersey you have in the bookstore on campus selling?
Yeah.
Whose jersey do you have on the rack in the concourses at the stadium?
Yeah.
When you're playing the game.
Yeah.
There's ways to decide how you compensate players. So don't come out and tell me that it's an impossible task.
Yeah.
Because you can figure out how to pay a professional team.
Yeah.
You're going to tell them that you pay that second string quarterback the same amount that you pay the starting quarterback. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Yeah. You're going to pay that second string outside linebacker that plays nothing but special teams.
Yep.
As much as you pay that left offensive tackle.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
That's true.
So there's an easy equation based on professional numbers of how to pay collegiate athletes. You pay them on that same percentage bracket.
Yeah.
It's based on the value that they represent to the organization. Professional teams have figured it out. How do you pay players equity? Of what you pay. We talked about it, that cap would be 10%
Yep.
of what that head coach makes. That's what would be doled out to whichever team sport it is.
Yep.
And then you take that same formula that they've created in professional sports on that, whether it's soccer, whether it's swimming,
Yep.
baseball, basketball, football, track and field, they all get paid in those sports. Hockey,
Yep.
you base it on that as far as the value of the players in those positions.
Yeah.
Do the same thing on the collegiate level.
I think that makes a lot of sense, Big C. And so speaking of getting paid, we know a lot of pro players that are going to get paid. We know there's so many things that goes on, and we got to find a way to just put it out there, let people decide what they do with it. When it comes to the NCAA, Kentucky's at 57 tournament appearances, the Wildcats since 1942 up to 2018. That's the most of any basketball program in the universe for college basketball. So congratulations, Kentucky. I do want to take a little bit of time to pay homage to our national high school girls basketball rankings. The top 10 girls. Number 1, Montverde Academy out of Montverde, Florida, 32-0, Big C. Number 2, University High out of Davie, Florida, 34-1. Number 3, we have Finley Prep out of Henderson, Nevada, at 25-1. Number 4, Shadow Mountain of Phoenix, Arizona, 25-1. Simeon out of Chicago, 29-3. Number 6 is Memphis East out of Memphis, Tennessee. They're 28-3. They're playing good basketball. Number 7, La Marie out of LaPorte, Indiana, 23-3. Number 8, Imhotep Charter out of Philadelphia, 27-2. Number 9, DeMatha Catholic out of Hyattville, Maryland, Big C. They're 33-5. And number 10, Oak Ridge out of Orlando, Florida. They are 30-4. Congratulations to the girls. High school basketball top 10 rankings. Keep doing your thing. Big C, I want to touch a little bit on the NBA before we close out today. We know that the Houston Rockets, right now, they're the top dog in the NBA universe. They have the best record going forward at 52-14. They're winning that. Golden State, the number 2 team now, solidly 2 spots behind. And Golden State, they got to get that mojo back when they get Curry. They're 51-16. But I want to touch on one of the most dominating players in the history of the NBA universe when it comes to triple doubles. Russell Westbrook. This brother has 99 triple-doubles, and he's going to join the 4. I think Oscar Robertson, you have Kidd, and also Magic Johnson. Well, he's playing Atlanta tonight. He's at 99. Not only does he show consistency every night, Westbrook shows you how you should play. If more athletes play like Russell Westbrook, it's almost he has a playoff mentality every single game, Big C. What is it about him? You've seen basketball a long time. What is it about him out of UCLA that brings it every single night, even though they're not the top team in the league? Big C, your thoughts?
We're talking, he has that intangible that all great athletes bring. That consistent, hard, determination drive.
Yeah.
Now, those players that you mentioned, he'll be the 4th to get into that 100 club. He's the only one, though, that does not have an NBA title.
Yeah.
The other 3 have NBA titles. But what he brings is nothing less than an NBA title performance every night.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at Russell Westbrook, you wonder how some players can complain, about not getting opportunity or not wanting to work harder to be better.
Yeah.
To get complacent because they've made it. Russell Westbrook is not complacent. His game is there every night. And even when he had to share the ball this year with 2 new, former superstars in the NBA,
yep.
His game didn't suffer.
Yeah.
He wanted to incorporate them into what he did.
Carmelo and George.
He's not having the year that he had last year with that record year that he had, and it was historical.
Yeah.
But, his game is consistent every night with hustle, determination, and doing what he can do to help OKC win.
Yeah. And that brother, I just appreciate the effort that he brings, and he does it night in and night out. He has to be given some type of award for being the most outstanding player in the universe. Really appreciate watching them play tonight on NBA. We have the Washington. They're a 4-point favorite over Minnesota. This is playoff basketball, Big C. Washington atop the Eastern Conference Southeast Division at 38-29. And then you have in the Western Conference, Minnesota, they're just behind Portland, 2 games back at 39-29. Now, ironically, if you look at the Western Conference, Minnesota at 39-29, if they were in the Southeast Division, they would be the number 1 team by game, but because they're in the West, they're 2 games behind Portland. And I know this is like playoff basketball at its finest right now. Give me your thoughts on this upstart Minnesota team and how they compare with Washington. And we know that these 2 teams are going to make some noise in the playoffs too, Big C. Your thoughts?
Minnesota's a young team that's been building, and they brought in Thibodeau, Tom Thibodeau, former coach of the Bulls, to right the ship with this team. He's also brought in some of his former players to help this team be better. Matter of fact, he just signed Derrick Rose a couple days ago after being released. And so this is a team that has veteran leadership on the bench.
Yeah.
They got Towns and Wiggins, 2 young scorers in the NBA. Butler, injured the knee, but he should be back shortly.
Yeah.
But this is a team, when you got the leadership that Thibodeau can bring to the bench of stabilizing these players and honing in a little bit some of the egos that they have.
Yep.
That's one of the things you always got to have as a calming presence. If you don't have that older veteran player, then you got that older veteran coach to say, hey, I'm in charge here, and I'm not unwilling to sit That's the difference sometimes when you get young organizations like this.
Yeah.
And so he's established himself in there as the leader. And so this team has responded to him.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I really like the youth that we're seeing out there. And when you think about youth, you have Philadelphia. They're a 6-point favorite over Indiana. And I look at Philadelphia. Right now, they're the 3rd spot in the Eastern Conference Atlanta division behind Toronto and Boston. They're 36-29. And I know they talk about trusting the process. And I think they're not there yet. But we know they're building something that's going to be good in the future for Philadelphia. Whether they get a LeBron James to go there or not, I think there's no room for LeBron there. LeBron might stay where he is or, go west if he gets the chance to do that. But I also want to get your thoughts on another team that has a lot of talk right now. We talked about San Antonio and Coach Pop, and you talked about a coach that will tell someone to go sit down. San Antonio is at home right now. They're playing against Orlando tonight. Orlando's not playing either. But San Antonio, we've never seen them on such shaky ground in over 20 years. They are 37-29. They're 15 games back in the Western Conference Southwest Division, behind Houston and New Orleans. Now, even if they get back Kawhi Leonard, and a lot of people have a lot of faith in Coach Pop, but he can't coach someone who's injured to come back too soon. I think as much as they want Kawhi, Big C, why not take the time and think for the future and don't come back and take a chance on being injured, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I think this is a team that's been plagued with injuries and age all year long. And Kawhi is uncertainty. It really affects what you had planned for at the beginning of the season. You had built this franchise around him, and when he wasn't there to participate, you had to restructure what you did as a team.
Yeah.
And, whether he comes back at any point the rest of this season or he just sits it out, Charlton, it's not going to change the outcome of what San Antonio season is going to be.
Yeah.
They're going to be one and done in the playoffs. This is a team that can't compete with the young legs that are out there in the NBA right now. It was quite evident against Houston last night when they just could not keep that pace up and down the floor against Houston. And the defense paralysis is just not there as it's been in past years. And Kawhi Leonard, what was a big part of that in the middle is that you would put him on that team's best offensive player, and he would basically neutralize him.
Yeah.
So, when you don't have that presence on your team now, San Antonio, even with Pop's great coaching ability and history, is going to struggle the rest of the way.
Yeah, and so we know, I love seeing how great athletes play. And I'll never forget, I heard Shaq and Barkley talking about how their doctors told them to come back too soon, and that's why they have a hard time walking now. people think about the money, and people think, well, this guy's making so much money, he should come back and play the game to help his team win. But sometimes you're going to carry those injuries later into your life, and that's something that a lot of players have a hard time shaking right now, no matter how much money you have. If you're always walking around in constant pain, there's a way to prolong your health more so than making that money. So I know people are going to do, what they're called to do, and we appreciate seeing the effort that athletes make. The last game I want to cover tonight in the NBA, and we have a couple of good games happening, but I want to just get your thoughts. And I know Atlanta, when you think about Atlanta, they're at home. There's no line against OKC, and I know OKC had a win against Sacramento last night, but Atlanta also is trying to build something strong, and they've been struggling to even win games this year. And even though they're competing with that great stadium that the Falcons put in, but Atlanta's 20-47 in the Eastern Conference Southeast Division. They're 18 games out of first place. You look at OKC and what they've done. They are 39-29. They're 2 games out of first place in the Northwest Division in the Western Conference. Do we see Russell Westbrook join the great 4 or the great 3 ahead of him and getting that triple-double to be 100 on the scoring board? Big C, your thoughts?
It should be an easy win tonight against Atlanta. You think about this organization, Atlanta, won 60 games just 3 short seasons ago.
Yeah.
They were hailed as being one of the top young teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, they just corrected that team and traded everybody away, Charles.
Yeah.
And now you have a team that's struggling and may not get to 30 victories this year.
Wow.
And Russell Westbrook coming in, and especially when you don't have that big guy in the middle.
Yeah.
To play defense against Westbrook.
Yeah.
That's where he really shines is when his penetration game is working, Charlie.
Yeah.
People think that he's a great jump shooter. He's a decent jump shooter. But he gets a lot of his points in the paint. And he's not afraid to go up and challenge anybody for a rebound.
Yeah, and I've seen that happen so many times with a great athlete. We've covered so much in the world of Big C Sports. We're just asking people to Google so that you don't have to trust what we say or trust what anyone on TV says. There's something about the youth of our society. They Google a lot. So sometimes being around AAU basketball on the West Coast, I hear a lot of young people say, the guy what he said on TV doesn't make any sense. Can't they Google and see the same thing that we see? But for any player that's willing to get the money and take the money, I'm just reminded of the old guy that I knew growing up. Name was Shorty, and he always tried to get people some wisdom, but he was always tipsy, Big C. So the young kids take advantage of him. Quit taking advantage of these NFL owners and let them know to Google your record before they give you a job. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Just like you've seen Tiger take strides in becoming a competitive golfer again on the PGA Tour, I'm looking forward to Serena Williams taking those same strides. She took strides last night against her sister Venus. Venus came out victorious, but it was great to see Serena be competitive in one-on-one tennis last night down in Indian Wells.
Yeah.
And hopefully before long she'll get her game back in stride after giving birth to her first child, Charlton, a gorgeous daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see Serena Williams back on the top of the tennis world on the ladies' side.
Well, speaking of being back on top, we appreciate everyone in the sports universe that wants to keep it real, and you can always use Google for that. And speaking of Google, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. on every